Today's episode of the Arc Junkies Podcast is brought to you by Outlaw Leather. They're a family-owned business serving the welding community with custom handmade leather work for welders. Outlaw has a huge selection of custom welding hoods, exotic leather goods, and tools for ironworkers, pipe fitters, and fabricators. If you're a welder and you're in need of high-quality equipment and protective gear, be sure to check out Outlaw Leather's website at outlawleather.com. They just released their new women's welding jacket in collaboration with Stephanie Hoffman of Underground Metalworks. You can see the new jacket and more when you shop their website or their storefront. You can also take advantage of a 15% discount on all in-stock handmade leather goods when you use Arc Junkies in the discount box at checkout. And if you're in the Pasadena, Texas area, be sure to stop by their store in person and tell them the Arc Junkies sent you. We're also brought to you by Rockmount Research and Alloys. If you're in need of high-quality maintenance welding solutions, look no further than Rockmount. With over 50 years of experience and a dedication to customer service, Rockmount is the go-to choice for all your maintenance welding needs. Their team of experts will work with you to find the perfect solution for your toughest repair. Plus, with their extensive selection of rods, wires, and abrasives, you'll be sure to find exactly what you're looking for. Don't waste any more time searching around for maintenance rods and wires. Choose Rockmount and see the difference for yourself. You can visit them online at rockmountwelding.com or give them a call at 1-800-272-7637. As an added bonus, you can save 10% off on all your burrs, bits, and abrasives and welding-related chemicals when you shop rockmountwelding.com and use Arc Junkies 10 in the discount box at checkout. Get the job done right the first time, every time with Rockmount. All right, you know what time it is. Fire your machine, drop your hood, and turn me up 5.
You're listening to the Arc Junkies Podcast, helping you make every weld better than your last with each episode. And now your host, Jason Becker.
What is up, Arc Junkies? Happy New Year. Welcome to the 2023 edition of the Arc Junkies Podcast. Today is show number 258, and my guest is Matt Bartles. Matt's an instructor with the Millwrights Local 1000 out of Tampa, Florida. I met Matt a couple years ago when he came out to talk about the opportunities with the Millwrights back when I was a welding instructor. We discussed Matt's side business and his mental and physical transformation over the past year. Let's go ahead and get into it. All right, Matt, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Not much. Welcome to the BuzzBox Studios.
Oh, yeah, it's a pretty sweet setup you got here, man.
Thanks. It's nice. I call it home. That's where I hang my hat. so we got to meet probably, what was it, 2 years ago?
Yeah, right around 2 years ago, I went to your open house over there at Valencia College.
Yeah, we were the millwright instructor for what's your local?
Local 1000.
Local 1000.
Yeah.
Damn, you guys waited a long time to get incorporated, huh?
Yeah.
But so tell me, because a lot of people don't know what millwrights are, and hell, I didn't know what a millwright was until I did. I was working private industry doing structural steel ironwork. And we got on a job site, and they had these guys on there, and they were millwrights. And I was like, well, what the hell is a millwright? They're like, it's like a combination between like a welder and a machinist, but like, I'll let you explain it, because I mean, shit, this is your background. That's why you're here.
Yeah, for sure. So that's one of the big questions is what the hell is a millwright, So they pretty much it kind of started back in the day. We were carpenters at first and went through, kind of worked in the mills and everything, and pretty much produced all the gears and everything and shaped them and did the math and all that lovely stuff, and just kind of evolved into precision industrial mechanics that changed with the industry and everything.
So what's your primary function? What do you guys what's the biggest part of your work?
So the biggest part of our work for our jurisdiction type of area, so we pretty much cover a lot more plant maintenance and everything. Power gen is our biggest industry here in Florida. I know you get up there in Kentucky and everything, they're in the car industries and stuff like that.
So pretty much everything to keep a facility up and running, almost like an industrial maintenance technician, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Or
exactly.
what this being referred to nowadays as mechatronics.
Yeah, so we also deal with mechatronics too, but we do here in Florida, we do a lot of steam turbine, gas turbine work. We're in the food and beverage industry, phosphate mines, airports. We do a lot of the conveyors and everything.
Okay, so you guys do conveyor systems also.
Yep.
That's pretty neat. And then, you guys, so from what I remember, when I was out working in the field, next to the one or two jobs that I was working next to millwrights, they were setting heavy equipment, like massive freaking equipment, like the type of shit that they set the equipment down and then they build the building around it.
Yeah. Pretty much everything we do is heavy, right? So we actually have rigging certifications and everything, and I'm actually a master rigger myself, and pretty much we go through that in our apprenticeship.
Okay. How long's the millwright's apprenticeship? I just had Ronnie Bowen in here. I think he's with the Pipe Fitters 803 out here in Orlando, and their apprenticeship's 5 years. I know the Ironworkers 4 years. What's the millwright's apprenticeship look like?
Our apprenticeship is for 4 years. Pretty much do 5 weeks a year.
Okay. Now how's that work out? Like they take 5 weeks off and then come down and go do the training, or?
Yeah, so pretty much it's not 5 weeks straight. It is spread up through our slower times because we're pretty much with the power generation industry that we service and everything. They want to be up and running during the busy seasons.
Right. But it's kind of like Texas where they've got like shutdown seasons and stuff like that. Works a little bit slower. Now we've got time to do the maintenance and everything. So they schedule maintenance around production. So like during your slower times, you guys can go in there and hit it hard, and I imagine pick up a lot of overtime because they want to get everything fired back up.
Yeah, a lot of our work is either 6/12, 7/12s, stuff like that.
Damn. Okay. And what do you guys learn during those 5 weeks for the course of 5 years?
So pretty much like starting off the very first year, you're looking at intro to millwrights. We go through Ocean, the Millwrights 16, kind of like an orientation. But then the intro to millwrights, we go through like basic tool usage. We use precision equipment like mics and outside mics, inside mics, calipers.
Yeah, I seen you guys had builders level set up and all that over at the school, because that was the last time we linked up. Was I went to your open house, and you guys kind of had everything out there on display, all your precision measuring equipment and all that stuff.
Yeah. We had our open house. It was a great turnout and everything, and we just kind of laid everything out. And we had our little steam turbine open, and
yeah, it's a pretty slick setup. But you guys, in addition to that, like you do welding as well. So what's your primary focus when it comes to welding? What items are you typically welding on? So
a lot of times on the equipment that we're working on, we'll need a welder pretty much for every job because things break and we got to weld them back together. A lot of stuff like the steam turbines, like we'll have guarded old pipes and everything that will cut apart and stick back together because we got to take the equipment off of it and kind of go back to it.
Now, how'd you end up getting in the mill, or how long you been with the millwrights?
So I've been with the millwrights for right around 13 years. I got in 2009. So, but yeah, I ended up, I went to Pinellas Technical College in Clearwater, and I actually had one of the instructors come out and talk to me and talk about the millwright program. And I was like, wow, that's right up my alley. It's mechanical. It's not necessarily staring at that 2x4 lens all day, every day for 12 hours a day, So yeah, it was definitely, I like it a lot because it's not monotonous. Mm-hmm. You're not doing the same thing over and over and over. You're always working on a different piece of equipment.
Now, so I would imagine you guys have like a precision measuring component within the apprenticeship program. Like how difficult is that? I mean, let me back up. Is there, for admission into the millwrights, do you guys have like an aptitude test or anything like that, or they just need a high school diploma, or like what's the admission requirements to get in? Yeah,
so pretty much if you got a high school diploma or GED, and you seem like you got a good attitude and willing to work, and we'll go in front of the JATC board and do the interview process.
Yeah, it seems like attitude is like the biggest thing when it comes to any skilled trade. Like you've got to have a good attitude. If you get a shitty attitude, it doesn't matter how good you are. Nobody's going to want to work with you.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to want to train you.
Absolutely, yeah. A good attitude is probably my number one thing I look for in a person.
Yeah, if you got a good attitude, we can train the rest.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I would imagine it's hard teaching precision measurements to a bunch of high school kids because, like, most of the time, after third grade, they're not working with tape measures or, let alone dial calipers and micrometers and stuff. So, like, do you find that portion pretty difficult to teach?
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, the ones with the good attitudes and everything, they pretty much excel because, we'll kind of break it down. Like we try to do like the 80-20 rule in the classroom. We'll spend like 20% in the classroom, 80% in the shop, depending on what class it is. Yeah. That way they can get the basic knowledge and we can go out to the shop and explain the rest. So if you're going through like a inside or outside mic, you can talk about it, show them the basics on the PowerPoint and everything, and then get it in their hands so that way they can start learning.
Yeah, I found that's the best approach to education. Like, because I taught for 6 years, is to like talk about it, explain it, and then go out in the lab or, have visual aids or stuff you can pass around the classroom and say, hey, look, this is what I'm talking about. Bring it off of the screen, bring it out of theory, put it into their hands, show them a practical use and say, hey, here's why it's important. It's like we'd go through, like anytime we'd change a process, I'd drag a machine inside the classroom and say, okay, this is a MIG welding machine, and here's all your components. Here's your lead, contact tip, nozzle. Like go through soup to nuts and show them everything. Let them put their hands on it, and then we go out into the shop and say, okay, now that you know what everything is and where it goes, take all these machines apart, set everything off to the side, and we're gonna put them all back together, and like just get your hands on it, because you can't learn how to do the stuff that we do as welders and skilled tradespeople by just looking at it or listening to it. You got to get your hands on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can't just pick up the textbook and then go for it,
Yeah, I've had one student my entire time that I taught that I was actually, I could show them how to do something and then they could immediately replicate it. And I thought he was fucking with me. I was like, dude, have you welded before? And he's like, no, just, this is my first time. That's why I'm in school. Come here and learn. And I'd show him a process or a position or a new technique or something. And then I'd, turn the stinger or the lead over to him. And he'd do it. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, he just had a knack for picking things up. Like, I'd show him a process, and he'd run out like a full 4-inch by 4-inch block in a day and want to test the next day.
Yeah.
And I just kept, having to find like more difficult stuff for him to do just to challenge his mind, because he just picked up on it so quick.
Yeah, we've definitely had some come through a program like that, you'll actually sit in there in the class and go through the PowerPoint, and they're just kind of looking at you funny, and and then you go through it and you're like, you got it? You're not taking notes like everybody else. They're like, no, I got it. I was like, all right, yeah, we'll see.
We'll
come
see.
test time, knocked it out of the park. Now, not everybody's like that,
No.
I'm definitely not like that. I got to look at it. I got to study. I got to put my hands on it.
That was always my problem in school. Like, I couldn't take notes. I'd get so distracted taking notes that I couldn't focus on what was being said, and I'd never like digest the information. And I can't write for shit. So like trying to go back and read my notes, I was just as lost if I might as well just lay it out for the class. But if I could sit there and listen, and especially if you can make it relative and make it make sense, like I can remember that. I can recall information. But if I got to write it down while you're talking about it, it's hard for me to follow along.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the biggest things is making it relative, because I used to hate math with a passion, but now I'm a math teacher, right? So I actually had somebody take it and make it relative to like what I'm doing and where I'm going with it. And now I'm a math nerd.
Yeah. And it's funny how that works. You're like, because I always thought the same thing. Like, I suck at math. And then I get onto the job site and I'm calculating freaking load weights and, figuring out which rigging I need and stuff like that. Or, like you're at the fabrication table and, you're doing a material takeoff, figuring out exactly how much material you need. So you're not ordering extra and you don't have a bunch of scrap laying around. And you're kind of making the most out of the material that you have. You're not making miscuts and everything, and then trying to patch things together later. So you start sitting down and writing all this shit out, and I was like, dude, this makes so much more sense. And then when I took trig in college, I'd never figured out. I was like, where the hell am I ever going to use this shit? And it was funny because it was like the third time, because I flunked out of trig like 3 times or twice. It was the third time that I went through, and my teacher, explained to me very early on in the class, here's where you're going to use this. You're a welder, you build stuff, you work with angles. And I was like, yeah. She's like, okay, so this is, instead of using your square and your protractor or your compass, we're going to do it with a calculator. And I was like, holy shit. And it just so happened we were working on a job like that, that throughout that 16-week course, that we were working on some really complex angles and stuff. We were building this conveyor system up underneath one of the attractions for the theme parks. It holds like these big inner tubes. And the maintenance guys, it was like really dangerous for them to do the work on the conveyor systems, because they'd have to access it off like, 20-foot A-frame ladders or extension ladders. And it was all uneven terrain. And it's a man-made mountain at one of these theme parks. So nothing's level, nothing's equal. And so throughout this class, I'm learning how to do all this advanced trigonometry and work with angles and shit like that, because everything had to go in at an 8.7 degree pitch. And it had to be exactly 6 foot below the conveyor system. And we had to build everything off site in 20-foot sections. So that means we had to calculate for shipping and, the rig plan, like all that stuff. So I was like, damn, thank God, like I know all this math because it's actually paying off now. So like, don't be intimidated by math.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially like when dealing with rigging and sling stress and everything, and like you get tighter on them angles, and like just even like a regular choke, and you start tightening up on that choke, you're increasing that sling stress by tons.
Yeah, it wasn't until I got into structural and rigging that I realized I've been rigging everything up wrong my entire life. Because like you learn it out on the field. So, and you're learning from some other dude that doesn't really have any formal training. He's like, no, you got to get that choker. You know, you're beating on the choker with a 2x4, getting it as tight as you can, you know, because that way it's going to grip. But it's like, no, you're actually compounding the stress that's going to be in that. So when you pick it up, it's going to be more likely to shear. It's not going to go anywhere. You pick it up nice and even and everything. It's not going to slide one way or the other. You get it choked up right, but you don't have to crank down on that angle. It's anything less than 45, you start doubling.
The stress. So right at 30, you go 2 times.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then soft stops, like I never learned about that shit till got in the union.
Yeah. That's definitely one of the things I love about the union the most is the safety factor and everything that we look into. Because like I've worked non-union jobs before I got into the millwrights and everything, and it was like.
Fly by the seat of your pants.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just figure out we got to make this work. Okay, how are we gonna do it? I don't know. We got to make it work.
Yeah, get up on it and see what it do.
Yeah, been there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and that's a crazy way to like go to work every day. You know, like I mean, there's so many things that I learned about going through formal training that I was like, damn, like I've been doing it wrong. Been showing people how to do this wrong for quite a while. And it, like especially when I got into education, I think that was like the biggest eye opener for me. Is sitting down, having to do research on specific processes and be like, whoa, shit. Like I've been running short circuit on 1/2-inch plate for a long time now. What do you mean this isn't recommended? This is highly advisable, that I don't do it this way. And then you start learning the theory behind it. Like, so I mean, you probably found the same thing as an instructor is you start learning more and more and more about the subject because now you got to teach that information to somebody else. So you really got to know your shit.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially, and then you get like the one kid in the class that, like, hey, here's a question for you. And you're like, yeah, like definitely don't bullshit them. If any instructors are out there listening, definitely don't bullshit them because they'll look it up in that phone in their pocket and they'll pull it out and be like, well, you're full of shit. And then you lose all your credibility.
Yeah, they'll never believe another word you say.
Yeah. So definitely, what I like to do is create that little parking lot. And be like, I don't know, but I know enough people that do know, and we'll find out.
Yeah, that's one of the things that my dad taught me, like, young, is like, don't bullshit somebody. If you don't know, tell them you don't know, and then go find out. They even taught the same shit in the military. Like, they'd ask you a question, like, I don't know, but I'll find out, and I'll report back. So, I mean, like, that's how I always worked with my students. They'd ask me, get some off-the-wall questions, man. And I'd sit back, and I'd tell them, like, if I knew, I would tell them the answer. If I didn't know, I'd be like, you know what? I don't know. But I've got a pretty extensive library, and I got a good idea of where to find it. Mm-hmm. Let's go back to the office, and we'll bust out the code book or the textbook or whatever, and we'll get we'll get an answer for you.
Yeah.
But I'd never just make up something on the spot and mislead them intentionally just so I could save some face. Because you're actually going to look like a jackass when they go home and hit the Goog button and type it in and be like, "Wow, Mr. Becker's full of shit. Like I'm not going to listen to him the rest of the term." Well, here we are at week 3, and now you're wondering why this kid's so hard to deal with.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, it's definitely. I love it because it keeps me on my toes. It keeps me constantly learning and looking at new things.
Yeah. So what's like some of the coolest shit you get to work on, especially because you guys I think there's one correct me if I'm wrong. There's one Millwright Local in the state of Florida. So you guys pretty much handle everything from the panhandle on down to the Keys, right?
Yeah, so we got 2 in the state of Florida.
Okay.
We got Local 1000 covers from Ocala down to Key West and the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. And then Jacksonville Local, they cover pretty much Ocala north to, I want to say they're going into Savannah now, to Tallahassee.
Okay.
So, and they got 1263 north.
Anything above Ocala, that's pretty much just South Georgia anyway.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, just like FLA over there in Tallahassee.
Yeah.
Just lower Alabama.
Exactly. No, that's pretty neat, man. So, like, what's probably some of the coolest shit you've worked on here in the state of Florida?
So, some of the coolest stuff. So, I worked a lot out there at St. Lucie Nuclear Power Plant, and then worked down there at Turkey Point Nuclear Power Plant. Basically, kind of going through those turbines. They had the EPU upgrades that they were going through and changing out a lot of the processes and everything they do for them. and putting in all new rotors and everything. And but just working on those steam turbines was probably some of the coolest stuff I've done.
Oh, really cool. I mean, did you do a lot of welding in your time in the field?
Yeah. So as a millwright, you don't weld too much, but like
that's what I was gonna say. I mean, like you guys got a pretty comprehensive course, but I mean that's not like the core of what you do. Very similar to ironwork. Like we do welding, but that's not like the main job. You know, you still got to get the steel up there. There's fucking a lot of bolt work.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, it's not very much welding, but when they need you to weld, they need somebody that's going to get in pretty much a tight area and, you know, put it in there right the first time.
Okay. What processes you guys primarily use?
We do a lot of TIG only because like the slag and everything, you don't want that to go to the machine.
Okay. So a lot of TIG root, and then do you switch over after you get that root in, go to like 7018?
No, pretty much like we'll TIG out. So like we got like FME areas. Like, so pretty much like if you bring 10 rods in, you better have 10 stubs coming out. Like there can't be anything left behind in the machines. Like there was like a roll of paper towels left, and one of the machines that they actually closed up, started up, wrecked the whole train. And like by the train, I mean the whole turbine. So
yeah, I did a lot of work by the executive airport, and then like OIA and Melbourne and all that stuff. We had the same thing, FOD, foreign object debris or whatever. You couldn't leave anything behind on a daily basis because that gets sucked up into a turbine. You know, next thing you know, there's a catastrophic failure on a flight.
Yeah.
Yes, that would make sense. Take all the way out. Now, so let me ask you this question, because I would tell this to my students. Like, I've never worked in a nuclear facility, but I've heard stories from some of the guys that I work with that have done nuclear. Like you said, check out 10 rods, you bring 10 stubs back. Otherwise, you're not getting anything else to locate all those 10 stubs. Now, when you guys burn your wires down, do you have to leave the tag on there so that they can verify that, okay, yeah, that material's ready for, to be welded with 308L, and then we've got your tags here so they got traceability on everything that you weld?
So I haven't really, so I was never in the can. They might do that in the can. I was always outside the can in the power block.
Okay.
Yeah. So like, I mean, just pretty much, it was kind of more of like an honest system, if like you brought 10 in, you bring in 10 out type of thing.
Okay. Yeah, I was just wondering because I've heard I always tell my students burn your electrode down to the numbers. Mm-hmm. That way, when the CWI or whoever the inspector comes up, they can verify. Okay, you've got all these 7018 stubs laying right here. I can literally pick it up and verify that number and make sure it's not a 11018 or it's not some other different type of alloy. This is exactly what's being put in.
Yeah, so like when we check out rods, they pretty much say, here's the rods you need for this job. Like there wasn't like a big rod box we went to. Like sometimes it'd take 2 or 3 hours just to get rods checked out.
Jeez.
Yeah. It was definitely, nuclear is definitely slow.
Yeah.
But it's super safe.
But then you've got all those guys too to make sure you're welding to the welding procedure specification and all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they're following along, making sure you got the right settings and electrodes and gas composition and all that shit.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of checks and balances when it comes to that nuclear work.
Yeah,
rightly so.
Yeah. Circle slash.
Yeah. Look at with Fukushima and all that Chernobyl and like all those other. Yeah, we've had a couple lessons to learn from other countries on why this shit's important. I remember Crystal River. We had some guys from the hall down there because like part of with ironwork, it's rebar. Also, they don't tell you that in the fine print. You got to go in there and learn that. The rebar sucks. But yeah, I mean, like they had, I think their tolerance was like 1/16 of an inch on their rebar. I'm like, fuck, for rebar? But I mean, it was like all the concrete that they were pouring. It had to be like dead nuts on everything. So I was like, man, that's for rebar. That's a pretty tight tolerance. Usually if you can get it within an inch or two, you're good.
Yeah.
Damn. So how'd you end up linking up with the American Welding Society?
Through Daryl Peterson. And pretty much I went to a meeting. He was actually still the chairman before he was the director. And I was kind of showed interest in being on the board and everything. And then ended up going in and being one of the vice chairs and getting in. And then after a little while, he's like, hey, what do you think about being the deputy director? I'm like, yeah, that's pretty sweet, Definitely never been one to turn down an opportunity. So, but yeah, because like one of the reasons why he was looking at it is because I get around to so many different schools and everything. I'm on like, I think roughly 23 advisory boards throughout the state of Florida. Yeah.
Shit, that's a lot.
Yeah. It's definitely, it takes a lot of time.
I sit on one. Well, it was the same one of your 19. I sit on that one as well with Brian.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's definitely a lot. But it's definitely worth it because like go around, talk to some of these students and everything and talk to the instructors and trying to connect these instructors. And I know Brian, he's real big on it and about like just kind of staying connected because a lot of times, like when I first started, I ended up leaving the Millwrights back in 2016, roughly, and went to teach at Pinellas Technical College. My instructor was retiring from over there. And, you go in there and you're like a welding instructor and like you're on like your own little island. Like you get, like I had 2 other people to talk to, but, so you just kind of go off like what they know. But then like if you have that bigger community to talk to and kind of shoot ideas off of, it definitely helps.
Yeah, and honestly, that's how Brian and I met. He hit me up on Instagram, and because he knew I was an educator and stuff like that. So he's like, "Hey, man, like I just got into this. Like any help or direction or guidance?" And I was like, "Dude, you gotta get on the Lincoln portal. You gotta, this way you can get all your rods at this price and everything. Go through this distribution company because this one's gonna they're gonna see that you're a school and they're just gonna rape you in funding and stuff like that, or they're gonna jack up their prices because they know check's gonna clear." So like stay away from these companies, work with these ones. Here's some ideas for curriculum. Here's some blueprints and stuff that I currently use. So having, that network, I always preach about the network, the power of a network. That helps you out tremendously. And like, I'm so freely giving of it because it's like you said, when I first got into welding education back in 2014, it was like one man on an island. And I didn't have anybody other than the manager of my program. And she didn't know anything about welding at all. She knew it was bright. Wow. other than that, like, I mean, I go in there and shoot the breeze and stuff with her, but I couldn't go to her for technical help or anything like that. Like I had to come up with everything on my own. And a lot of the other schools, like, especially in Central Florida, they're pretty reserved. They don't really want to share any information because it's like, I don't know, they see it as a competition. It's like, I don't know, dude, your classes are full, you got a waiting list. My classes are full, I got a waiting list. Like, let's, work together. Let's do a competition together. They were like, no, can't be fraternizing with another school. And I was like, this is freaking ridiculous.
Yeah.
But, when Brian reached out, I mean, like, that's how we used to chat all the time on Instagram. And then we exchanged phone numbers. Then we finally met up at the Sun and Fun. Went out there and got to meet in person. Then I got an advisory board. Then we did some videos together at weld.com. So it's really cool to see like how his program's growing and stuff like that. Because he's a smart dude.
Oh, yeah.
He does a lot of shit. It's just like, but how do you take that information out of your head and give it to the students and provide that, into a practical application? Like, here's where you're going to need this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I like hanging out with him. He's a funny dude too.
Yeah. No,
he's got a lot of experience. He's done a lot of nuke work.
Yeah, Brian's definitely. He was just some of the stuff he was talking to me about. I'm like, wow,
But what are some of the benefits you found, like just linking up with AWS? Like after you went to that first meeting, what are some of the benefits that you found being part of that network?
Just having people to shoot questions off of, and one of the big things is like, so at my school, we ended up doing the Welding Workforce Grant, and we got $25,000 for just filling out a grant application and becoming a certified educational facility and everything. So we're definitely lucky to get selected for that.
Yeah, I keep telling people all the time, like if you got a school and you don't have any funding, apply for the workforce grant. It's $25,000. Like you can do a lot with 25 grand. We won it like right before I dipped out of education, which was freaking awesome because we get to start moving into project-based learning. So now we've got like fab tables. They got a plasma table. Like, I mean, it worked out freaking great.
Yeah, I actually found out about the Welding Workforce Grant at your open house back in Valencia.
Yeah, because we had some folks from AWS come out too.
Yep.
Because they're like, how's this money being spent? And like they came out and checked it, which I mean is good.
Oh,
if you're gonna give somebody 25 grand, like you want to make sure it's literally going into things. But I mean, like AWS has always been really supportive of our programs and what we do and stuff like that. And I'm an active member within Central Florida, and I try to make it to other meetings when I can. Like I wanted to go to because you guys West Coast, you guys do a lot of Zoom meetings. Like a lot of your meetings are also done via Zoom.
Yeah.
So if I can't make it that 2-hour drive to, I can always like tune in via the computer.
Yeah. Daryl's got a small fortune in camera equipment and stuff. I know we just had that CWI roundtable, and I think we had like 5 or 6 cameras set up, so that way you can see the whole crowd and everything. It's definitely, it's fun to set up, you know.
It's like a pretty big production.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like sweet.
Yeah, and Daryl's a pretty cool guy. I like hanging out with him. I took his what the hell was it? Mag particle test.
Yep.
Or mag particle class, and then the dye pen class also. He's a smart dude, man.
Yeah, those were fun.
But he's been doing freaking welding inspection. I mean, like that was his job in the Air Force back when he went through. And I don't remember what years he went through, but I mean that was like his job while he was in the Air Force was like inspection.
Yeah, I think it was like somewhere like back in '87 because I was like, dude, that's the year I was born, bro.
Yeah, so he's been at it quite a while now. He's a senior CWI.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a great person to have in your freaking network. If
Oh,
I get
absolutely.
stumped on something, and like he'll call me up and he'll be like, "Hey, did you know about this?" And he's like, "Look at page number this, that, and the other thing." And I'll crack open my code book. I'll be, "Holy shit! I had no idea this was even in here."
Yeah, Clause 6, third, fourth.
Oh yeah, and he'll
chapter
like recite it verbatim. He's really good with that shit.
Yeah.
So now, what do you do as the deputy district director?
So deputy director, I just kind of helped Daryl out, putting some stuff together, kind of reaching out to these other schools with the advisory boards I'm on and everything. So that covers Florida, Georgia, and some of South Carolina. I actually missed the last South Carolina meeting because I was in Vegas teaching classes out there.
Okay, what class are you teaching in Vegas?
Yeah. So I teach the Essential Millwright welding, or Essential Millwrights, Train the Trainers, and then I also teach the welding Train the Trainer that we just started up.
Okay, so you're actually instructing the trainers, not like apprentices and stuff like that.
Correct. Yeah. So we're actually instructing other trainers. I think there's 250 different training centers across the U.S. and Canada that the UBC covers.
Oh wow, so you guys go all the way up into Canada too?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So those are fun classes to teach because those are definitely the classes that keep me on my toes.
Because they're in Vegas.
Yeah.
That helps.
Yeah. No, I've been out there so many times. I pretty much stay at the training center anymore. Yeah, it's definitely an amazing facility. It's like 1 million square feet under roof of training.
Oh, so it's not like a conference center. You guys actually go to a dedicated training facility to train instructors that are coming through.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so they've got a steam turbine there. They've got a gas turbine, full-size gas turbine. They've got mechatronics. They've got an underwater welding tank. They've got conveyor systems. It is insane, just the amount of machinery and everything that's in there.
So when you guys go on site to like these different companies, you're doing not only doing installs and just swapping parts out, but I mean, are you like in there doing diagnosis type stuff, like trying to figure out, what's troubleshooting, figuring out what's going wrong with the system? And
so pretty much we'll go into a machine and pretty much kind of diagnose and see what's going on. If we see like some steam wear or something, like steam gouging, like we'll kind of point it out to the engineer and he'll kind of go through it from there and see the tolerances. Or if like there's a machine and we check the as found readings of like the alignment and everything, like so if it's like 10 thousandths out, we'll be like, hey, we probably definitely need to do an alignment on this.
Okay, and then you guys does the company provide? So I don't know how it is with the millwrights. Do you guys like bring in your own tooling on work trucks, or does the company pretty much have everything there with a outfitted tool room and you just go in there and check stuff out, or how's that work?
Yeah, so we pretty much supply our own basic tools, hand wrenches, sockets, and stuff like that. A lot of the bigger stuff the company will supply,
like impact wrenches and torque wrenches and all that stuff,
wrenches and everything, because a lot of that stuff has got to be calibrated to use, or else it's not accepted. So
yeah, because you guys got such high tolerances, and like especially in nuclear work, like everything's freaking documented. So we got to make sure that okay, you measured it, but like, is your measuring device, has that been measured?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Calibrations for calibrations.
Yeah, a lot of these pumps and motors and stuff, and turbines, and pretty much anything we align, we get it down to roughly around 1/1000th of an inch. And like a human hair is like right around 8 thousandths, so it's 8 times smaller than a human hair.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, because all this is like precision equipment.
Absolutely.
Damn. That's a lot, man.
Yeah.
Everybody, he's a dumb welder. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Working on a freaking Rolex, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love it. I love it because, I mean, it's something new every day, you know, or at least it was. Now I'm a teacher, and it's definitely fun. It's kind of something new every day, but, you know, between, I think we've got, let's see, 20 different classes we teach. So, yeah, it's a lot of information to retain, and definitely try to get really good at, between blueprints to machinery installation to power transmissions and basic alignment.
Now, I mean, are you pretty much teaching full time now, or do you like segment that to where you're like in the field for a portion of the year and then you'll pop out and you'll jump in the classroom and, you know, teach? Because you got, I mean, like you said, you're teaching, the apprentices are going through 5 different classes a year. So I imagine that ties up your time quite a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I teach there full time. We've got 2 full-time instructors and 1 part-time instructor.
Okay.
And then our coordinator, our fearless leader.
Yeah. How many apprentices do you guys typically have in a rotation?
So right now I think we're at like 120 apprentices.
Is that like a big number for you guys, or pretty average?
That's towards the top end.
Okay. So I imagine there's enough work to kind of sustain that growth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you guys currently actively hiring like every year?
Yeah. So
like I know you just had your open house. I imagine that was a recruiting event.
Yeah. I think we had like 250 people there.
There was a
like
lot,
students
dude.
And stuff. Yeah,
there was a lot. They started rolling up in school buses and tour buses. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, it was crazy. But yeah, we're actively recruiting and everything, nonstop. I know I like to get a lot because where I came from the welding school, and had the instructor come talk to me. I like to go to the welding schools because that's where I came from, and you know, like welding is just like a general basic deal compared to the actual job description you get, you know. So like they'll teach you the basics at school, but then you go out and you kind of specialize in your field.
All right, we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break. This segment of the Arc Junkies podcast is brought to you by Everlast Welders. Looking to pick up a new machine for the year? I highly recommend Everlast Welders. All of their IGBT inverter machines come with a 5-year warranty, and they carry a machine for every welder regardless of skill level and budget. You can check them out today at everlastwelders.com, and as always, if you buy any machine that comes with a stock foot pedal, you can type in Arc Junkies in the comments section at checkout and get that free Nova foot pedal and TIG torch upgrade, or just click on the link in the show notes. Everlast Welders. Weld mean, weld green. We're also brought to you by Strong Hand Tools. Strong Hand Tools make some awesome tools to make your life as a fabricator and a welder easier by increasing your accuracy and decreasing your time on builds. And our friends over at Strong Hand have an all-new deal for you in 2023. Right now, when you go to stronghandtools.com/promo, you can get 10% off all their tables and kit packages and 5% off all their 5/8 tool packs. So head on over to stronghandtools.com/promo today and save with your new purchase of a fab table or the accessories. But you gotta hurry. This current promotion will only be here till March 31st. That's stronghandtools.com/promo. Now let's get back to the show. Now, so like you got your CWI as well, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, was that a requirement to become an instructor, or I mean, how did that, or is that something you just wanted to do on your own?
Well, yeah. So a little bit of both. Definitely, it wasn't a requirement, but in order for us to certify welders and everything, or qualify welders, I actually handle the millwrights, the pile drivers, and the carpenters pretty much for Florida.
Oh, so you run their ATFs, or they come into your facility and they test under your ATF? Yeah,
and then we also got that remote location clause in the quality assurance manual, so I kind of go bounce around.
Yeah, that's what my buddy Stephanie Hoffman, she runs the underground metalwork. She does like the workshops, training classes and stuff, but then she's also a remote testing facility, so people can come in there and use the facility or whatever to test if they can't make it to like whatever, you know, I don't know how she's got it set up exactly, but that's kind of like what a remote ATF is. You can go on site, do the testing and everything, but you got to process and record everything and, you know, do all the paperwork and evaluate everything.
Calibrate
at
the machine.
ATF. Have everything calibrated at the ATF.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, how many people are you certifying roughly per year? Or attempting.
Attempting, attempting, and actually, I think this past year, I think we did right around, with the pile drivers and millwrights, right around maybe 30.
Yeah, I still do part-time run the ATF for that school that I was working for. So, I mean, we'll go through, we do quite a bit, you know, because, I mean, they've got 15 students per class, you know, and when I go out there, I'll test one class, you know, over the course of 2 days, and then another class over the course of 2 days, and then, you know, I'll hit up the other ones because they're all on staggered schedules. But, I mean, when I go out there, it's like 3 or 4 days worth of work, you know, to test one class.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you got to go out there, you got to witness everything. Like, all the paperwork is like...
Yeah, the
It's
paperwork
a lot of
is
freaking paperwork because, yeah, all your equipment's got to be calibrated. You got to verify everything they're working with. The base metal's got to have traceability. The filler metal's got to have traceability. The machine's got to be verified that it's actually putting out the intended amps. They got to work off a welding procedure specification. You got to verify they're staying within the tolerances. It's a lot.
Yeah. No, especially when you get like 4 or 5 of them going at once. And
oh yeah. I won't test more than 5 students, and that's only if they're all running the same process.
Oh yeah.
So if everybody's doing, you know, stick vertical or whatever, all right, go ahead. We're going to use these 5 machines right here in a row because you got to check the route. I mean, you got all these different hold points and everything, and if they're too far spread out, it just becomes a pain in the ass. And like I don't want to lose focus of what's going on. So like when I come in to test, like they shut down a good portion of the lab for me to be able to go ahead and administer that, and we'll rotate them out. You know, we'll get one group in, and then once they're done, I'll go through, check everything, and then we'll bring the next group in.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot of damn paperwork. And then you guys are recognized internationally too.
We pretty much, like, so with our welding certifications, like we got like a program we upload them into, like, called Train, and we'll do those. But then a lot of like the contractor certifications and everything, that they'll end up testing for those contractors, and it'll be good for those contractors. So like you may do the same 6G combo cert 2 or 3 times for different contractors.
Okay, so they still have to test, even though they're certified, air quotes, certified, they still have to test when they get on site.
Yeah.
That's the same thing with ironworkers.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I would imagine the pipe fitters, I think they're relatively the same. I mean, depending on the type of job that they're doing, whatever the contract requirements are, everybody's got different contract documents.
Oh, yeah.
Depending on what I would imagine with nuke, like anybody that's getting off the bus to strike an arc, they got to get certified on site to, you know, whoever's requirements while they're there.
Yeah.
Before they start working. Damn, so you wear a lot of hats, because not only are you working for or running the Millwrights training program, you're the district deputy and, you know, the vice chair of West Coast, but you also run your own business.
Yeah. So me, my dad, and my brother, we pretty much run CBC, metal art and welding. Do like mobile welding, but then we also do pretty much a lot of metal art. We got a CNC plasma cutter that we'll do, and airbrush it with all that House of Color candy paint and stuff. And
House of Colors.
Yeah, House of Color. It's banging paint, dude.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got like that almost like kind of transparent look, so you still get the sheen of the metal. But
okay, what is it? Duplicolor makes something similar to that, like a
the metal cast.
Yeah, the metal cast. That shit is a pain in the ass to work with. If you do not follow, I'm not one for following instructions. So like, oh, you know, like spray, wait 5 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna spray. I can probably get away with 3 minutes. No, wait the full 5 minutes. Like you need to test the ambient humidity and temperature and all that. It's really temperamental, but if you can get it right,
oh yeah,
it looks beautiful.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, the metal cats. We actually started off using the spray cans like that. But then after using the airbrush, like my dad, he was like totally like against the airbrush. He's like, dude, we'll just spray can it, man.
Just rattle can that shit.
Yeah, rattle can it. And I'm like, just give me a little bit of time, you know, and like, let's figure it out, right? Because like, I've always just been one to like kind of just jump into it and go, and just started using the airbrush one day. And then he's like, dude, that looks pretty good, man. That looks pretty good. I said, you want to try? He's like, yeah, let me see it. Now he's the best airbrusher. Just ask him. Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely a Picasso.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's like your primary business? I mean, you said you do like mobile welding and stuff like that, but are you doing more artwork, or are you doing more mobile welding, or is it a pretty happy medium?
Yeah, it's like mainly the artwork. Yeah, only because like I'm the one that would do the mobile welding, so like I kind of get tied up, and I can fit people in when I can.
Yeah, because I mean, you travel a shitload. Like everywhere I've been this year, you've been, and in between me coming back to the house to like kick back and relax and do other shit, you know, locally, like you're still out traveling. Like we came back from FabTech, you were at FabTech,
yep,
and then like right after that, you ran up to Vegas again, right?
Yeah, I had to teach that weld and train the trainer class out there.
Yeah, and then like the same thing. We went to the North Florida welding competition for their AWS section. You were up there for that.
Yep.
And then you went to like another one right after that. Like you and Daryl like hopped up and went up into South Carolina and It's like kept going north.
Yeah, that was the one I didn't get to go to because I was
Traveling somewhere else.
Yeah, I was traveling somewhere else.
It all starts to blend together, doesn't it?
It really does.
Like the last quarter of this year, like everything just blended together. I couldn't tell you if it was August or December.
Yeah.
Like everything was just bleh.
Yeah, like 3 or 4 weeks before FabTech hit, like it was just, it's all like, hey, how you doing? It's after Christmas.
Yeah, it was nonstop for, I would say mid-September up until the end of November. I was like nonstop.
Yeah, pretty much since that MT class, I think we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I think that this year's even going to be even busier, because now I don't have the school schedule holding me back. I can pretty much just go wherever. Yeah. So I think that'll be a lot of cool. I know we're both going to Ink the Bay.
Yeah, I'm
Tampa.
super
Was that March 26th to 27th? Or March 26th to the 28th? I'll get the right dates. Yeah, we're going to be promoting the hell out of that pretty soon. But I know there's going to be a lot of classes, but you're going to be out there showing off your wares, your metal work, and all that stuff.
Yeah, so I'll be pretty stoked about it. I think we're going to try to do like some American traditional cutouts and everything. And
oh, cool.
Yeah, just try to go from there with it.
What kind of tables you got?
It's a Star Lab. It's a 5x10.
Okay.
Yeah. We use that BobCAD because they got the vector art, and it makes it pretty easy to kind of like get a design going and use all the splines to make your CAD.
Okay. I got to check that one out. Like, what did you say the name of the table was?
It was Star Lab.
Star Lab. I haven't heard of that one. Is it pretty good?
Yeah. Well, it treated me great. I've had Matt. I'm pretty sure he's the owner. I've hit him up on the weekend like, hey, my Z is like malfunctioning. It's going up and down, up and down. He's like, hey, try this and do. And then like I take the Gecko motor drive out and I just slap a new one in. I'm like, man, that was sweet, dude. Like you were right on the money. And like I think he's up in Massachusetts, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, I had a dude like that when I was we just got a Swift Cup before I left the school. And it was like kind of a learning curve for me trying to figure out how to operate that table going from the Lincoln Torchmate. And then prior to that, I was running a Kawiki with Weld.com. So like learning these different interface, like everybody's got like their own special way of, what do they call that? Like how the language that the computer speaks.
Yeah. Like the
logic.
DXF.
Yeah. Logic.
Yeah.
Everybody's got their own logic behind it. And none of them seem to like transfer and flow really well. So if you learn a software on one table, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to transfer into another drawing software, or CAD or CAM software.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I know we use that. So like we'll draw it all up in BobCAD, and then we'll throw it in that Hypertherm program, and like you can nest.
Oh, the Pro Nest?
Oh, it's the Pro Nest. Yeah, it is amazing. Like after we got that, like we've actually increased our profitability because like it gets it so close, and I think there's like 4 or 5 different algorithms you could throw it through to get it all perfect in the
you get to conserve a lot more material that way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, it went from Swiss cheese to little bits and pieces of metal
slivers,
left over. Yeah,
like a big old sheet, that's just slivers of material. Yeah, that ProNet software is. I haven't used that one, but I've heard a lot of really good things about it. And it integrates well with Bobcat or Bobcat.
Yeah. So pretty much we'll just load up our drawings on there, and we'll just make the parts list and hit click, and if we like that one, that's one we'll go with. If not, like I think number 5, like it gets it the closest. So like depending on the parts, like what we got going on or whatever, like we got some pretty critical, like bigger pieces. We'll try not to like put pieces inside of that piece, like unless it's like a huge area. Only because like if you got a 4x5 foot piece you're cutting out and that shoots over, I mean like it's okay to like you can kind of weld it back and kind of fill it in a little bit, but you don't like to do that too much.
No, I'd try to avoid that at all costs if possible. Now, so are you guys using like cold rolled material or like hot rolled and then you sandblast it when you're done? Or?
Yeah, so we use that 316L stainless.
Okay.
Yeah, so that way, because I mean, we're down there by the beach.
Everything's going to rust.
Yeah. I think we're like 3 miles away from Clearwater Beach. So, yeah, it's like just kind of dealing with that, like all growing up and everything.
Now, how do you get the paint to stick to the stainless? Well, do you texture it or anything like that?
Yeah. So we'll kind of like take a 60 grit flap wheel and kind of put little designs in it, depending on like just make it flow a little better.
Okay, just like little swirls and all that shit in there.
Yeah, not necessarily swirls, but like long streaks.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say Brian taught me that if like anything with like regular steel, soak it in vinegar overnight.
Oh yeah.
And the mill scale will literally like just pop right off.
Yeah, pickle it.
Yeah, so we did a lot of that when we'd do like art pieces and stuff for the school, and that's what we would use because like just regular sheet metal steel is fucking cheap. So we'd soak it in like 5-gallon buckets. I'd go get a couple gallons of vinegar and just dump that in there and let it sit overnight, and it literally you'd see the image floating on the surface. It's really cool how it just like separates itself.
Yeah.
The mill scale just peels right off.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and that you can use that OSPO, that phosphoric acid. And
yeah.
I always put like in a little Roundup bottle and spray it on.
Oh, that works too?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've never used OSPO. I've heard of like a lot of the old timers telling me about that.
Yeah, back when I used to work on a casino, but like fresh out of high school down there in Johns Pass, and we used to have to pretty much just go around, spray it on like all the rust spots, and it was like a never-ending circle. Like you'd go spray, you'd grind it down, you'd paint over it, and like it was just a nonstop circle of grinding and painting.
Yeah, that's what they say. I think it's the Golden Gate Bridge out there in California. That's what they do is they'll start at one end, and then like by the time they get to the other end with all their cleaning and paint and shit like that,
yeah,
they just grab all their shit and like start back at the other end of the bridge. Because by the time they get finished, it's time to start that whole process over again. Yeah, so it's just like a never-ending cycle. They just keep looping back through.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know. Like I listened to this one book, so I do like a lot of the Audible books and everything. It's called "It's Your Ship," and pretty much like they're kind of going through it, and they're like, "Hey, what can make your job better?" And they're like, "Well, if we get all stainless bolts, we can not waste so much time painting and grinding and stuff." And they're like, "Well, let's do it." So it was definitely a really, really, really good book. Kind of talked a lot about that.
It's called "It's Your Ship."
It's Your Ship.
I gotta write that one down. Yeah, because like I said, you do a lot of traveling, so you probably do a lot of audio.
Yeah. Between
like, anytime I drive, if I got long distance, I throw in an audiobook.
Yeah,
I get tired of music pretty quick.
Yeah,
unless I'm working.
Yeah. So pretty much between like the Audible books and the Joe Rogan and Weldon over here, yeah, it's definitely. Yeah, I've been listening to a lot of like David Goggins. He just came out with that new one.
I've got that one on my list. I can't wait to check that one out.
Yeah, it's amazing. It really is.
Have you read Endure from Cameron Haynes?
Yeah,
that's a good fucking book.
Yeah, it really is. Talking about he wakes up and runs a marathon every morning before he goes to work.
Every freaking morning.
Yeah.
Or he'll run half a marathon and then like go back to the house, get cleaned up, go to work 8 hours, come home, and then run the other half of the marathon. But he'll run a marathon every single day.
Yeah.
Which is insane. I've never. Well, I mean, if you calculate all the miles I've done, I probably ran a marathon. But like, yeah, there's what's a marathon like 24.
It's like 26.3.
26.3? Yeah, that's too much fucking running for me. I was going to pull up some other books. Like, I got really big into Audible. There's a lot of good shit out there.
Yeah.
Scars and Stripes by Tim Kennedy.
I'll have to look that one up.
Check that one out. That's a damn good book. I wanted to punch him halfway through the book. And it's like, why are you such an asshole? Like, you'll get it when you listen to it. But, I mean, that's a really good one. And then, what the hell was it? The Way Forward. That's the one I was trying to think of. With Robert O'Neill and Dakota Meyer.
Yeah.
That's the one I listened to on the way up to the Kentucky Welding Institute competition. That's a damn good book.
Nice, dude.
Yeah. Check those out, man. Add those to your list.
Yeah. I know one, it doesn't really have to do like fitness or working out or none of that, but it's called A Land Remembered. It's actually about like 4 generations coming into Florida like before the Civil War, and then it gets all the way through to where like they built the Tamiami Trail and everything. That one's a really good one.
I'll have to check that out. A Land Remembered. Yeah, I love getting down with audiobooks. I mean, they're so freaking because I did what was it back in 2020? I tried to do that 75 hard challenge, and so you have to read. One of the requirements is you got to read 10 pages a day, and it's got to be of a nonfiction book. It doesn't have to be fitness or self help. It just has to be 10 pages nonfiction every single day. And I actually got back into reading, and I found myself. I was like, well, shit, like here because I read "Can't Hurt Me" from David Goggins. That one I actually physically read. I'd find myself like reading 15, 20 pages.
Yeah.
Just because I was like, oh, okay, I'm getting into this. And I was actually able to like focus because like, the majority of the time when I got to read something, it's like I'll read a paragraph and it's like, fuck, I got to start back over.
Yeah.
Like I just tune out. So like it's fucking hard for me to read a book.
Yeah.
But because I had to, I had to read 10 pages. That was kind of like my thing. I would like just completely separate myself from the family, go outside, read 10 pages. And it was like, sometimes it was a bitch to get through.
Yeah.
Some of the books. I think I ended up like reading 5 or 6 books.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a pretty good challenge. I didn't complete it, and I fucked up on like day 72 or something like that. Oh, I was pissed. But I noticed you've been hitting the gym and riding bikes and all that good shit.
Yeah. So I've kind of become addicted to murdering myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I got into riding bikes. I was like super, super stoked. I hit like 30 miles. Like I went over the Courtney Campbell Bridge and then went back, and I was like so stoked, and ended up, I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to ride to Brooksville. Like from Clearwater to Brooksville, I think it was like 63 miles or something.
Shit.
Yeah. So like, I was like, yeah. And then my old lady's like, yeah, why are you doing that? You know? And like, my mom's like, don't do that. You know, I'm like, fuck it. I'm doing it, man. You know, so I rode up there, 63 miles, went up to my uncle's house up there, and I was totally wiped. I was super stoked. I was so stoked. Yeah, I was like, next weekend I'm doing 100 miles. So I ended up, the next weekend came around, and I was like, you know, do 100, here we go. So I ended up going, I think, just south of Spring Hill and back. It was like right around 100. I was like just so ecstatic. And then they had like this September for Cancer Challenge for St. Jude's. And I was planning on doing 150 in the one day. So pretty much I went up to State Road 98 in the Vets from like Gulf to Bay and Highland area and Clearwater, and got all the way back to pretty much Tarpon Springs, and it like just started hammering down like lightning and everything. I'm like, nope, I'll just ride another day.
Not this weekend.
Yeah. So that's the farthest I've ran, or farthest I've rode on the bike. Yeah. So
It was 100 miles.
130.
130. Holy
130
shit.
in one day. Yeah, it took like right around like 12 and a half hours between lunch and breaks and everything.
Gosh damn.
Yeah, it was
Need a backpack full of protein bars to
yeah, that's pretty much, yeah. And then I had like a little vitamin shop spot on the stop on the way, and I went in there, and like they got like these little goo packets. I think they got like 40 or 50 carbs each.
Oh yeah, I've seen those for like running and shit like that.
Yeah, amazing, dude. It felt like I was on nitrous the whole way up. Yeah, I think I must have ate down like 4 or 5 on the way there, and then like 6 on the way back.
Damn. I wonder how many calories you burn in a fucking 100-mile ride.
Yeah, so like I rode my Apple Watch, like because it takes so long, my Apple Watch battery normally dies.
I was gonna say your
like,
fucking Apple Watch probably died. That's why I quit wearing mine. I was like, it's fucking dead in 5 hours. Like, you gotta carry a charger around with you everywhere.
Yeah. So like I think I got up to like almost 9,000 calories.
Gosh damn.
In the time it died. Yeah.
Dude, you gotta get a Whoop strap.
I've never even heard of a Whoop strap.
You've never heard of a Whoop strap? This thing right here. Like I'll show you when we get off the podcast, but it's too much to go through. But like it'll track your calories. It tracks what heart rate variability and everything. So like how you recover. So every day it calculates your strain and your recovery.
Wow.
So you'll wake up like when you wake up the next morning, like you hit the button or whatever, and it tells you what your recovery is. And like obviously you want to be like in the green, and that'll tell you, okay, like here's how much strain you should shoot for. So because a lot of people like, and you're probably doing it right now, don't even know it, because I used to do the same shit to myself, is like you wear yourself out, and it's like, okay, I'm going to go to the gym 5 days a week, and like you hit the gym 5 days a week, and you're like just assed out. Well, you're not making any progress, because I don't believe there's anything, or I don't believe that you can overtrain, but you can under rest.
I gotcha.
So like as long as you're getting enough rest and recovery and stuff like that, you really can't overtrain. But if you're not getting like the rest and all that shit, and you're like letting your body rebuild, you're just gassing yourself out. But like that's kind of like what the Whoop strap does. So it'll monitor your heart rate. You know, you can. It's like when I go to the gym, I'll turn it on, or well, I mean it's always on, but like I'll hit like weightlifting, and then it'll calculate what I'm doing as far as like how many calories I'm burning, like max heart rate. Like it just calculates fucking everything, and it's data, and it's tangible. Like you can see all the results. So that's one thing I like. I'm big into freaking numbers. I'm like a data dork. So it provides like way more information than I need. It's really cool.
That's way cool.
Problem is it's $30 a month.
Yeah.
I think the Whoop strap is free when you sign up, and then after that it's like $30 a month.
Oh wow.
But I've probably had mine for shit. I think I got my first one in like 2016 when the Whoop 2.0 came out. Like, and now I'm on the strap, or the 4.0.
Oh wow.
But it's pretty cool, and the battery lasts probably 5 days.
Oh wow.
But it doesn't, because like it doesn't what the hell is it? It doesn't do anything other than track all that shit. So it's got like a little green laser on the back. Yeah. And it just tracks your pulse, your heart rate, and all that shit. And then when you got to recharge it, it's got like this little portable charger. So you charge the charger, and then you can clip the Whoop strap right on.
Oh,
and then
while you're wearing it.
Yeah, while you're wearing it. So
That
like
is
you're
too
still
cool.
off to the races and shit. And then you take it off, and then you charge the charger, and then you're good for another 5 days.
Wow. That's way cool. I wonder how it does in the sauna.
It does great.
Yeah?
Like, yeah, I'll do 15, 20 minutes in a sauna. No problems.
Nice.
My phone will die. So I leave my phone in the locker.
Yeah.
But I'll put the phone, the closest locker to the sauna. Mm-hmm. That way I can still run my Bluetooth.
I got you.
So I can, like, listen to an audiobook or, put music on or a podcast or whatever and jump in the sauna, and it doesn't affect it.
Nice.
But, yeah, you can take it swimming. You can do everything with it. Like, I never take it off.
Wow.
And it's super solid. You get reports and shit like that. You get a monthly assessment, and you can actually see what type of, like, your daily habits actually affect your recovery. Like, if I drink the night before, I'll wake up and I can see where that's actually physically affected my body, because it calculates your rest. It'll tell you how much shortwave sleep you got. It'll tell you how much REM sleep you got, how much deep sleep, how much night sleep, how many waking events you had while you were sleeping. Like, it tracks fucking everything.
That's way cool.
Yeah, and there's actually a podcast, the Whoop podcast, where they break everything down, and they've got all kinds of freaking doctors and like scientists and shit like that help develop this stuff, or support the data that's coming through. They hooked them up to a bunch of Navy SEALs, and they did like a 24-hour training thing or whatever, and they all maxed out at like, so you get a strain score every day, and like if you're sedentary, it might be like 5 to 7. I think the highest I've ever hit was like 16, 17. But these SEALs, like, they'd never seen anybody hit the peak number. And these SEALs, after like a 24-hour training day, like, they started it, I can't remember what time, but the start of it was like they jump out of an aircraft. So they parachute in, and then they got to swim like 5 miles to the beach, and then they get out, and I can't remember how many miles they have to run. But it's like a 24-hour event. But they hit a strain score of 20. And that's because it didn't go any higher. Like, humans aren't meant to do that.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I think they boosted it up a little bit because of that. But yeah, it's pretty neat. There's a lot of shit you can get into it.
That's way cool.
But I can't remember. I had to pull up the stats. But when I was cycling, when I was doing that 75 hard, like, one of the workouts I was doing was 45 minutes a day. I would go ride my bike, because one of the exercises had to be done outdoors. And so I'd jump on the bicycle and fucking hit the bike trail and just haul ass.
Yeah.
I'd go to, like, halfway point, and then I'd come back, and then it was like 45 minutes. I'd do that every day.
Yeah.
But I couldn't imagine doing 100 miles, man.
Yeah, it's definitely not. I did one time I think it was 60 miles. This was after I did 100 miles a couple different times. I ended up doing 60 miles. I think it was like, probably, we're in Florida, so it was like 92 degrees out. Full sweatshirt, full sweatpants, everything. And then I ended up getting, I think, 45 miles in before I was like, yeah, no, this is coming off. And I had like a whole other second wind, dude. But yeah, no, it's pretty amazing.
So what made you start jumping on a bicycle and playing Forrest Gump?
So I just,
essentially,
yeah, I just got tired of feeling like shit. Like, honestly, like, yeah, about maybe like a year ago, I kind of started doing like the keto. I got down 50 pounds, and then ended up, I was like, well, you know what? I'm going to get back into the gym. Like, so back in high school, like, I was pretty fit. Like, I was benching like 400 and some pounds in high school, squatting over 6 and everything. And then I ended up hearing one of the motivational guys I listened to, Les Brown. He's like
I love Les Brown, dude.
Yeah, he's like, what did he say? He's like, used to be's don't make no honey. And like, because everybody talks about what they used to do, right? So, yeah.
Used to be's.
Yeah, used
I
to
love
be's.
that.
Used to be's don't make no honey. But yeah, so like, yeah, it just, yeah, the power of purpose, that's kind of like what kicked it off. And then I fell into David Goggins, and then Cameron Haynes. And
yeah, those dudes will motivate the shit out of you.
Then went to just listen to that Wim Hof. The Wim Hof method. It basically, like, he ran a marathon I think on Everest, like, with no shirt, no shoes, like total cold. Yeah, like, look him up. He talks about like the cold shower, like 2 minutes a day, and it'll like just totally readjust your body.
Damn, that's one thing I want to do. I want to try that freaking cold plunge,
dude. It's amazing.
Where do you go? Do you got it at your house?
So I got like a horse trough.
Okay,
and I'll fill it up with ice and water, and
that's got to get expensive, though. Ice is not cheap for some reason.
No, definitely, yeah.
I went out the other day. I was like, shit, man, bags of ice used to be like 10 pounds around here. Now they're like 7-pound bags.
Yeah.
But the price is more.
Yeah, I'll save them for like my like long bike rides. But like when I was just out there in Vegas, I think maybe 3 weeks ago, I think it was. It all blends together,
Yeah.
I think it was like 39 degrees out there, and like so I did a half hour in the sauna, and then went and jumped in the pool, and like it was cold, but
Well, that'll get you going.
yeah, I did that 5 days in a row after working out, and like you just feel so alive. You can breathe so much better and everything.
There's a lot of benefits to that, like the cold plunge. But they were saying you got to do it. I think there was a new study that came out. You got to do it before you work out. Yeah, you want to do the ice before you work out because then you start building up. Your body's already like in stress, so it's burning calories trying to get you back up to temp.
Oh wow!
And then on top of that, you throw a workout on it, and then for like your recovery, that's when you want to do like the sauna. Because it keeps your muscles warm, so they're still releasing hypertrophy and all that.
Nice.
I was like, oh, okay. It kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
People that are awake and smarter than me can explain it a lot better, but I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cold plunge first, then work out, then do the sauna. Okay, that I can follow.
Yeah.
What the hell's that dude's name? Andrew Huberman.
Mm-hmm.
He was talking about some of that stuff. He's a smart dude. Like,
yeah.
His podcast is pretty good. I listen to a lot of his stuff.
Yeah,
check him out if you like podcasts. Andrew Huberman, Hubberman, but he's because he's one of the advisors for the Whoop Strap.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I was like, I seen his name and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is some legit shit.
Yeah, nice.
But yeah, check into that, man. I'll have to get you a link and get you hooked up.
Yeah,
my buddy Val, he got on it. He loves it because he does mountain biking though. He's with the Pipe Fitters 803.
Okay.
But he does a lot of mountain biking. But you're doing like street biking.
Yeah, pretty much just kind of long distance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I tried doing long distance on a mountain bike on the street. Dude, that shit will wear you out quick.
Oh, that's
make
right.
you feel like a fucking turtle amongst a bunch of rabbits. Because I was out on the bike trail. We like down here in this area, we've got bike trails that go all over God's Creek. I think you can hop on one and go all the way out to Brooksville.
Yeah, and
so like you can go everywhere. But I'm out there on a mountain bike, just like hauling ass. And then all of a sudden, just I was like, "What the fuck was that?" Oh, street bikes. Okay, so I got like a cheap ass street bike, like right before COVID hit. Like I had no idea like a lockdown was coming. It was like the last day at work. I just got back to the school. I was teaching. I left weld.com and I was just back at the school for a week, and then we went on spring break. So that Friday, I was like on my way home. I hit up Academy, and I was like, "Okay, yeah, cool, first road bike." And then I rode that bitch for like a week, and then they called up and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're not going back to school for another week." And then I got another call. Yeah, we're not going back for another week either. We ended up being out 97 days. But I mean, luckily, like you couldn't buy a bike during that time around here. Like every bike shop, like, because I'd go in and like looking for an upgrade. Oh yeah, we don't have any bikes. Yeah. I mean, and if they did, it was like a hunk of shit.
No, I know, especially like my size. Like I was looking for like extra large bike, and all they had was like smaller mediums.
Dude,
like,
if you're
find extra large anywhere,
if you're getting into it, there's a Trek store right down the road here. You can get a carbon fiber bike. I mean, they're about $3,000 base model, but I mean, like they size you up exactly, and they cut the seat and all that shit because it's not an adjustable seat.
Oh wow!
Like they cut the post and everything, and then they mount the seat to it.
That's way cool. Yeah, that's what I got. I got a Specialized. That's Cirrus 10, I believe it is, carbon fiber.
Carbon fiber.
And yeah, it's so sweet.
Yeah, I want to say mine's made out of aluminum, but I'd love to get a carbon fiber bike, but I just don't ride near enough as I used to justify going out and buying a $3,000-$4,000 fucking bike.
Yeah. So that first 30 miler, I did. It was the aluminum mountain bike, and after I went from the aluminum to the carbon fiber, it was like I could ride with like no hands at first, like, and with the aluminum because it's like a little heavier, so it stayed on center a little better. But then I got on the carbon fiber and I had to like relearn it all over again. So, but then I ended up getting then I just recently, because I got like a hybrid Specialized bike and everything, and ended up going back into the bike store over there at Outspoken in Clearwater. And I was like, so if I just get a bigger sprocket like these, like that'd be good, right? It'd be like those street bikes. He's like, no, that's not how it works. And like talking to a millwright about sprockets and gears and stuff. Exactly. And I'm like, dude,
bigger gear up front, smaller gear in the back. It'll spin,
right.
3 to 4 times, more than the one that makes one revolution.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm riding out at max gear right now. I said, so if I just get a bigger sprocket in the front, I said I could ride more in the middle of my set. He's like, yeah, no, but then like you got these other bikes like with like electric shifting, and they're better.
Oh, yeah.
And, like he talked about like the aerodynamics on the cable and everything. I'm like, dude, look at me. I'm 300 pounds, 6'3". I said,
I don't need
aerodynamics, bro. I was like, that little tiny cable. I said, actually, with the rigging and stuff done, I said, I'll run the wind formula out on it, and like tell you how much pressure is running on that cable. It ain't much compared to me.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I heard they got like Bluetooth shifting and all that shit now, and I'm like, why the hell would you need Bluetooth shift? Like everything's right there on the handlebars.
yeah.
Like just push the lever forward or backwards, and
just
then
click it.
Yeah, just click it. Just a little click, and you're good to go.
Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely been an adventure, and I don't plan on stopping anytime soon.
Yeah, I know the like the bike shops and everything. They're not the bike shops, but like the we got the West Orange Trail and all that. You can go to their they got little substations, and you can rent bikes. Well, every October, they put all those bikes up for auction, so you can buy like a like a $3,000 freaking bike. I think they're all Diamondbacks.
Oh wow!
But they're all like legit street bikes. You can at every October you can go through and you can buy them and auction them off, or they'll auction them off, so you can go down there and bid on them and shit.
Yeah, I think my next little adventure with my bike, I'm going to ride across the state of Florida.
Oh no shit! You're gonna go from like Brooksville to Daytona?
Yeah, so I'm going to leave from the house, probably head up to Brooksville, and then shoot over to I think it's Cocoa. You end up at
Okay.
so. But yeah, it's definitely. I think it's like right around 200 and some miles. But like, then just have the old lady drive and meet me over there, because she'll ride the bike with me for like a little while. But then she's like, "Yeah,
I'm out."
Yeah, I'm out.
Yeah,
she's a trooper for sure.
I'd say I had a dude from a local radio station that walked across the state of Florida.
Wow.
And then I think he started on Monday and finished up on like Friday. Actually, I don't even think he finished. I think he caught a ride like the last 30 miles or some shit like that.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun, man. Like I've been getting back into the gym a lot lately, and you need it. Like especially like all the traveling and shit that we do, everything that we get into, like the fact that we both wear a lot of different hats. You're involved in a lot of different organizations. I'm involved in a lot, and it's like it's a lot to keep up. That, and on top of that, like juggling a family and like trying to figure out that work-life balance and all that. And it's like I just need to go to the gym, because going to the gym for me is very similar to dropping the hood.
Yeah.
Like everything else just goes away. You just completely silent. It's just me against myself, and it's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Same thing with cycling. Like I used to love that, dude. I'd throw in an audio book or a podcast or, a Spotify playlist or something, and just go out there and hit the trail and just, it's great to get outside. And now that, especially now, because it's not 100 degrees outside, like now's the time to really start getting outside and enjoying it and shit.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. Definitely that work-life balance. It's definitely rough. Like, so I got a wife and 3 kids, and the one we adopted, so it was 4, but like he ended up going back with his own real family and everything. It's definitely harder. It's a little easier for me now because the kids are older, and I did a lot of traveling when they were younger. Still kind of traveling, not like I was though.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, like, I kind of get my gym in by like saying, "Hey boy, let's go to the gym, buddy," or like, start making it like a family event.
Yeah, I think I got to wait one more year, and then I can start taking my kid to the gym.
Yeah.
He's wanting to get into martial arts now, so I was like, okay, well, I'll get him signed up for that. And I've always wanted to do that, like, since I was a kid, get into, like, I took Taekwondo for a while, but it wasn't, like, anything big. It was back in middle school. But I think getting into, like, jiu-jitsu or something like that would be kind of cool. Yeah. I think that'd be a lot of fun. But, yeah, maybe that's something he and I can get into. I know like I said, I think he's got to wait one more year, and then he can start going to the gym with me.
Nice.
But then, like, when I go to the gym, he's in school. So now I got to rearrange my entire schedule and incorporate homework into all that shit. And then I'm going to lose my me time.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be worth it at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Getting him in there early.
You only get it a couple, probably, 6 years, and then they're out.
Yep. Yeah, they grow up freaking quick, man.
Yeah. No, that's for sure. I just seen it was like one of those Facebook memories the other day. Like all the kids were opening up gifts, and I'm like, oh Lord, I gotta get back. I gotta go back somehow, But then you look around, and I'm like, damn, I'm gonna think back to today and be like, how do I go back?
Yeah.
So,
dude, time flies too. Like you're saying, I pulled up one the other day, and it was the year that I bought my son a 4-wheeler. So the 4-wheeler's sitting in the back of my truck, and he's sitting on top of the 4-wheeler in the back of we weren't driving anywhere, but like that photo came up, and I was like, holy shit, man, he was 2. That's like, it feels like yesterday.
Yeah,
they grew up quick, man.
No, definitely.
Well, shit, man, it's been a pleasure having you on the podcast, man. Thanks for making the trek all the way out. You didn't ride your bike out here, did you?
No, I was actually thinking about it, but this Florida boy, it was a little cold this morning.
Yeah, it was a little chilly.
My inner bitch kicked in.
There you go. So don't listen to your inner bitch. What David Goggins tell you. Don't listen to your inner bitch.
That's right.
No, man, but definitely appreciate you coming out here and shooting the shit with me and everything. You know, I'm sure we'll link up again before Ink the Bay. I think we're doing the we're going to be out of Brian's place for the Skills USA competition, judging that event. So I'll definitely see you out there, and then Ink the Bay in March.
Yep.
And I'm sure we'll a couple other events
I'm
throughout
sure
the year.
There's something else will pop up too.
Yeah, man.
Sure.
Cool.
All right, brother. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, everyone, thanks so much for tuning into the show. I have a lot of great episodes planned for you all for 2023, so be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast downloader app so you never miss an episode. Hope you all are off to a great new year. Stay safe out there, and until next time, make every weld better than your last.